Hey there again. This week we have a special Flex Your Hustle Publisher Spotlight episode. What's that? It is a highlight featuring one of Commission Factory's exciting publisher partners. It's a little shorter than the other episodes, but it's just as jam-packed with great marketing nuggets. I promise. Linkby is a global CPC-based platform that helps brands generate more long-form editorial coverage across global premium publishers. Linkby works with more than 200 publishers across the globe. Yeah, that's right. It includes everyone from Yahoo, Daily Mail, LadBible, Betoota Advocate, Vogue, ELLE, Marie Claire, Pedestrian, and many, many more. That's a pretty straightforward way to explain it. But there's much more to it than that, as we'll find out when we talk to today's guest, Linkby co-founder Adrian Fagerlund. You're a company that are a number of different things. Mm-hmm. If you could tell me in a couple of sentences what you are, what is it?
We are the middleman in marrying the best and brightest publishers with a global pool of brands that just want good content written about their brands in a way that makes it truly scalable and mostly measurable, so they can justify the investment and so they can keep coming back again and again and again.
And so what are we talking about for a brand? Are we talking about long-form articles? Are we talking about mentions in articles that mention a lot of other products? What can brands expect?
It's a great question. So it's the former. So how do I get a dedicated content piece where, say, let's do an example. Let's keep it to Pedestrian. Let's say the writer team at Pedestrian wants to write about your jewelry brand. Mm-hmm. So you've created this beautiful jewelry brand. It's sustainably made. It's designed in Australia and manufactured in California and all these cool things that you want to talk about that sells your brand. On our platform, you just let us know that, hey, this is what's going on. This is my brand. This is what I got going on. Then that publisher will extrapolate that information and create a piece of content that is exactly like their normal content. So it looks, feels, and reads like their normal content, but it will be all about your brand, hitting those keynotes that you've outlined in the brief. So to answer your question, it's a dedicated piece of content that is peppered with links as well, which is a little bit of a differentiator from traditional PR, because here the desired outcome is exactly the same for the brand and the publisher.
What sort of publishers do you have on your network? What sort of publishers can brands access?
So we started here in Australia. We got some of our favorite ones on board. So your Broadsheets and your Urban List, ones that we really vibe with. There was success there, if I put it that way. Mm-hmm. And then it became quite easy to go, hey, next publisher on the block, do you also like to create great content with complete freedom on how you want to do it? No rounds of revision, because it works similar to PR. And there's a whole new non-cannibalizing revenue line where you can effectively monetize your editorial team without having any of those long-winded partnerships going on. Yes, was the answer to most of them. So the answer is who's who in the zoo in Australia, in the UK, in North America, and just recently we launched in Singapore, where we're talking to the biggest and the brightest that are also very keen, which is super fun.
Amazing. Congrats on the global scale.
Thanks.
Not easy. Lots of hustling, I imagine.
It's been so fun. I do look forward to sleeping sometime in the coming 3 or 4 years.
Just to clarify, is there a time limit on how much this content goes up? Is it evergreen in a traditional publisher sense? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's a self-service platform. Even though we have support wherever you need it, every single brief gets reviewed by our team before it touches publishers. But that brief builder, anyone could use it. I used to jokingly said in the beginning, I was like, oh, it's as easy as creating a Facebook campaign, until I actually tried doing that and realized that arguably our platform is much more straightforward, especially these days.
It's not easy making a Facebook campaign.
I tried it.
How do I get my targeting right? And then every time it pings you back, and no, that's not right. Or this, it's not easy.
It's time consuming as well. So we wanted to make something that literally anyone could do. You don't need PR experience. You don't need to be a content creator. You don't need to be well versed in performance. It's super easy. And as part of that, you also set your parameters. That's your timings, your budgets, your CPC, and that. And when you set the timing, you set it from, say, 1st of March to last of July. Mm-hmm. And that means that that's when the content will go live. And it's during that time that the publisher can seed the content. And that's what that means, is that's how any publisher gets eyeballs on a content piece. They send it out on Facebook and Twitter. They do an EDM, an electronic direct mail send out. They might change the content so it looks different and put it on another vertical of theirs, so something like that. So they really work hard to get eyeballs from that into the content. That's what publishers do during the campaign timing you set. However, most of the content pieces are evergreen. They last forever because it just simply doesn't make sense for a publisher to take the time to go and take it down. Yeah. And it also compromises their own SEO. So if they've built out SEO through this, they don't want to compromise that. So they just leave it.
Great. It's almost like a nice complement to your SEO program as well then, isn't it?
It doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt, no. I found this great quote from your co-founder, Chris, on a Fin Review article, which I thought was quite interesting, and I want to talk about this a little bit in your process and how you built the business. It said, before, the lead Facebook and Google had over publishers seemed insurmountable, but now there are tons of direct-to-consumer brands whose return on investment on Facebook is going backwards and are hungry for more advertising channels. It's created a moment for publishers to re-enter the conversation when it comes to contextual and mindset-based targeting. I completely agree with this in a lot of sense. We've got a cookieless world coming, targeting is going backwards, inflation, is definitely hitting a lot of these publishers as well. So talk me through that process and when you guys realized that you had something big here.
Yeah, no, what he said, 100%. But I do think that we're not replacing anything. We're a new tool in the toolbox for marketers that are trying to achieve big awareness, big brand build, while also having the luxury of focusing on return on investment. And does that make my job easier, the fact that it's getting more saturated in that environment? Yes. But I think any clever marketer has a mix on their marketing spend.
I really love this. Publishers have always had this tremendous impact on readers and influence, right? But publishers, in essence, they shape culture, they shape trends. But about 5-10 years ago, the whole influencer scene came in and it really created such a big divide between the cost to access publishers and that influence versus the cost to access influencers in social. So it sounds to me like what you guys are doing are kind of really bridging that gap between the two and providing this incredible, accessible way to access what have always been cultural influences, publishers themselves. Do you feel like this is maybe disrupting PR?
I very much enjoy the act of presenting to a PR agency what we do, because the first initial reaction is usually a little bit of panic because it is...
You're taking my job!
That's right?
Yeah,
but what they quickly realize, and we work with a lot of them, the noticeable ones, smaller ones, boutique ones, where they use our platform for horses for courses. It's not for everything. So one thing to keep in mind, there needs to be an action in mind. As a brand, what do you want to happen here? Usually, it's come and browse our store and buy something, please. It might be subscribe to this or download this or go to this playlist on Spotify. That can also be a CTA, a call to action, but it needs to have one, because otherwise the publisher does all the work and they have nowhere to send someone and they don't get remunerated, so it doesn't work. But there are challenges with PR, like especially now in Australia, I find there's a little bit of musical chairs going on in the publishing game. There's a lot of people changing roles. So even if you're this super connected PR person that have connections over there and over there, then that person in question moves. You got to kind of start all over again. So for PR people to have something like Linkby, where there is a financial incentive for the publisher to jump on it, it's quite quick. They can use that as, I guess, a silver bullet.
I feel like what you guys do is kind of like adding something new to something that is starting to become a bit stale, We're talking about marketers who've had 1 or 2 or 3 different publishers on a plan for the last 10 or 15 years. And that's worked well for them up until this point. But now we're sort of going backwards in a lot of ways because the ability to target at a niche level is gone. And what you guys are doing is being able to funnel a lot of that advertising and marketing spend back into publishing, which disappeared for quite a while because there were what seemingly were better targeting options at a lower cost on social networks, on Facebook, on Google, etc. So it's really exciting what you guys are doing, and it feels like you're really reinvigorating the publishing world in a lot of ways and finding sort of a new product that takes some of the old world editorial strength and combines that with some of the new world measurement structures and thinking. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's definitely the ambition. And we have a second product as well now that we have well and truly launched in Australia. It's with Daily Mail and Refinery 29 globally, and more markets coming, or more publishers coming, where we do look at the scale to an even higher extent. So looking at how can we get brands seen all across these sites. And there's products out there that do that already. However, one could argue, who am I to say, is that they feel a little bit disconjointed from the actual tone of voice, the value that the publisher brings. So we've kind of looked at that and brought our second product to the market, where if you're a brand and you want to be seen at a lot across publishers, you can create a brief for us, and then those publishers that are participating in this will then feature that mini article, if you will, after the feature article. So what that means is if you go on, say, Urban List or Pedestrian or Our Media's titles or something like that, you see an article that you like, you click that, and then infinite scroll takes over, as in if you scroll past that original article, another article that looks, feels, and reads like that specific publisher starts. And that's where we have worked out some smarts that's automatically fed in, and it gives you a mini article about a brand that, again, feels very native to that publisher. So that's giving publishers another way to monetize their pages without necessarily giving into just complete ad chaos.
I didn't prepare you for this question. This might be a hard one.
Oh, try me.
What do you think the future is of publishing?
Good question. I don't know. I do think there is this continuous battle of how do we keep the lights on? How do we keep the connection with our audience? And I think being creative, just like you are in your content creation, about your ad serving, or how you take money to monetize the content, or whatever you might do as a publisher, not forgetting that, it's a longevity play. You need to keep in mind your audience. And I think looking to products that allow you to do both, meaning create great content, potentially keep the lights on at the same time, and, respect your audience. I think that's the future.
Yeah, it's been really interesting 10, 15 years, hasn't it, to see what's happened to the publishing industry. And you can, obviously, digital publishers, hard to crack, but those that have are doing really well. More of the traditional publishers, if they haven't evolved fast enough. We've seen those brands, well-known Aussie brands close, and that's been really sad. So it's great to see people like you guys coming in and trying to offer new solutions for publishers to keep that industry going, because people love it. People love to read content. They love to get it from multiple sources, and it's important for us to have a wide range of different sources of information. So, yeah, it's really great what you guys are doing for the industry as well. Yeah,
I'll take no credit, but yeah, thank you so much. And I do feel like we started from solving problems that we were having, and I think continuing to keep that mindset will be very good for us.
Well, Adrian, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We'll put some URLs in the show notes if people want to check you guys out and see what you guys do. And good luck with your mission.
Thank you. I do have an offer as well. Like, if anyone's listening and they're like, I really want to give this a try, but to your point, I don't really know what the story is, or I don't know how to shape a brief. We do offer creative services. So we have a team of experts that just help, dissect what you're all about, and then shape briefs that way, and then set you up for success. And anyone listening, referring back to this podcast, just email us, just sales@Linkby, or my email, which is adrian@linkby.com, and just let us know you heard it here, and then we can give you our creative services for free, and then you can start your journey and make your brand famous.
Love that.
Yes.
Thanks to Adrian for the chat. And check out the episode notes to find out more about Linkby, including details of that offer. Now you know more about Linkby. How about in return you give us a follow on your pod app? Maybe a rate and review too? It'll take you less than 5 minutes and will help us a lot. Plus, you won't ever miss a really cool episode like that again. Much more great marketing chat from interesting folks coming your way when Flex Your Hustle next drops. I'm Michelle Lomas. Talk to you soon, and keep hustling.